Right, welcome back everybody. Now, Oxfam has been criticised for issuing an inclusive language guide telling staff to avoid using words mother and father. The 92-page document also says that English is the language of a colonising nation. Oxfam has posted a video on Twitter that says, "This charity is for you, me, him, her, they, them. When we include everyone, we can overcome poverty. Woo!" If you're listening on radio, I can tell you the video, of course, is set to a backdrop of all of the colours of the rainbow and some more colours, just to be extra nice. Oxfam says that it's just a guideline and is not intended as a prescriptive document, but as you might expect, it has been widely mocked. The front page of today's Daily Mail says it's beyond parody. With me now is Dr Rakib Ehsan, who is a social policy analyst. Dr Rakib, thank you very much. Now, this has caused massive criticism, not least for people saying how much money has Oxfam spent on this when it could have been helping out needy kids, although, of course, the children of Haiti might take a different view. But how bizarre is it, do you think, that Oxfam has decided to, well, essentially give advice to its staff that words like mother and father could be offensive?
Well, Patrick, I'm going to make the point. I'm really glad that you raised Haiti because Oxfam's record in certain areas is far from stellar. In fact, it was actually banned from applying for aid funds in the UK for 3 years after cases of sexual exploitation emerged from its activities in Haiti. And there were also cases of Oxfam workers being suspended for cases of sexual exploitation and bullying in the Democratic Republic of Congo. So I find it quite incredible that Oxfam have the time and energy to waste on these kind of modern cultural initiatives, when really I think that it should be advising its staff on the bread and butter of protecting the most vulnerable instead of exploiting them in their overseas activities.
Yeah, indeed. And it's just, I think, yet another virtue signalling statement from someone or a body whose job it is not to do those things, but to actually help people. And when they talk about English being the language of a colonising nation, presumably they're going to be also taking similar policies out in Spain, France, Portugal, much of the Arab world, one would expect?
No, you would think so if that's their logic. I think for me, as we know, Patrick, that there's many organisations in the charitable sector who, in my view, they fail to do the bread and butter when it comes to providing support and assistance for the most vulnerable in British society and in the world generally. But I do think that what I also see in the charitable sector are what I consider to be quite blatant forms of anti-British behaviour and initiatives which ultimately vilify key elements of British culture, and that includes the English language. So if you see some of these proposals here, I think it's even worse than that. I think that it's deeply misogynistic. And it does amount to the erasure of women, replacing the term expectant mothers with people who become pregnant. I think what you see there is what I see with many charities, is that in trying to be fashionable, they're actually quite responsible for some very deeply misogynistic behaviour.
Yeah, they are. I'm just going to read out this. Avoid using mankind. Instead, use humankind. Reason. Mankind has an inherent association with maleness. Presumably, Oxfam will not be sponsoring Manchester United anytime soon. Biological male/female. They want that to be assigned female/male at birth. The reason, no one, whether cisgender or transgender, gets to choose what sex they're assigned at birth. So here we have Oxfam, a charity that presumably goes out to the parts of Africa that very few people will delve into, and they will be looking at a newborn baby there with malaria, and they will have to explain to that mother why they don't call her a woman or assign a gender to that child, instead of, oh, I don't know, helping it get immunity from malaria or something. It's just bonkers, isn't it?
I would have thought a far more useful initiative would be focused on how to improve processes surrounding disease prevention and control. in the most deprived parts of the world, where the healthcare infrastructure simply isn't there to address those kind of problems. I think that there's just an absolutely remarkable waste of time, and I think in a way Oxfam's record, for me, I don't find it to be the most the kind of institution which ranks highly when it comes to matters of integrity, and I think that that's very much the case when it comes to these initiatives. That's following these kind of fashionable cultural trends. Yeah. And ultimately, that will result in neglecting the bread and butter in terms of combating poverty in the world.
No, exactly. I want to know how much money has been spent on this and where else that money could have been spent. There are no shortage of parts of the world that could benefit from Oxfam's cash at the minute, and human power, people power. Apologies, I've just done it. I'll never work again, Rakib. I'm going to have to let you go there, but thank you very much. Dr Rakib Ehsan there, who is a social policy analyst, just picking through the hot mess that is Oxfam's advice to staff. Breastfeeding people is another one, by the way. That's just, I'll leave you with that image. Anyway, an Oxfam spokesperson has had this to say. We are proud of using inclusive language. We won't succeed in tackling poverty by excluding marginalised groups. This guide is not prescriptive. It is intended to help authors communicate with the diverse range of people with which we work. We are disappointed that some people have decided to misrepresent the advice offered in the guide, which clearly states that authors should respect the desires of those who want to be described as mother or father. There we go. All right, so yet another own goal from Oxfam, many people would say.